All right, so this is Todd Atkins, and I'm here with Martijn De Jong. And again, I want to thank you for taking time out to do this. And, you know, I know you've been like a lifelong martial artist, but I kind of want to start with maybe when you found MMA. Do you know when you first got exposed to it?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Pleasure is all mine. I started with Jiu-Jitsu back in the days when I was 13 years old. I'm 46 now, so it's 33 years ago. I started with Jiu-Jitsu, traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. And when I was 16, I started doing Kyokushinkai karate because I always wanted to be like a complete fighter. Also, Jiu-Jitsu, you had the striking, you had takedowns, you had ground fighting, but not on the level as MMA right now, of course. So when I was doing that, I was thinking of I'd love the striking part. So I thought to myself, okay, I need to improve my striking. And at that time, in my city, my uncle was teaching karate, so I decided to train with him, and that's where I improved my stand up, especially my kicks as well. From there, UFC started. That was I first saw the videotapes back then. I think it was 1994 or something, 1995, and I was at that time I was already training with the Dutch national team Jiu-Jitsu. They just launched a new system called Fighting System, which was a semi-contact fighting style where you could strike, take down, and fight on the ground for a couple of seconds. Only no striking on the ground. So I was training with that team. UFC just started, and Remco Pardoel was also training. He was also training with the national team, and he just fought in UFC 2, and he invited me to come to his gym and train with him. So I was like, okay, I really wanted to do that because in karate, the one who signed up for my black belt was John Blooming. John Blooming, I don't know if you know him, but he was a really famous guy in Holland. He had, I think, worldwide the most black belt dance, the degrees, the highest number. And he always said, okay, he had, for example, black belt, I don't know, 10th degree in karate. He had a black belt 9 or 8 degree in judo, and he had so many different black belts. And he always said, like, okay, so now you're a black belt in karate, maybe you're a Dutch champion, but can you really fight? I was like, what do you mean? It's like, okay, if somebody grabs you, throws you on the floor, what are you going to do then? Or if you're a world champion in judo and somebody hits you in your nose, you know, what's going to happen? Can you really fight? He was always asking that question, can you really fight? You need to be all around to be able to call yourself like a real fighter, like a true fighter. So I was always thinking about training all elements of the fight game, so the striking, the takedowns, and ground fighting, because I want to be an all-round fighter, a real fighter. And that's when that started when I was pretty young. I was still 16, 17 years old, and I was already thinking about that and ways how to improve. And back in the days, of course, now the kids, they go to an MMA trainer, right? They go to MMA gym and they can train MMA right away. When I was young, I had to go train jiu-jitsu there, karate there. Later, I started doing Thai boxing, Dutch kickboxing, wrestling, of course, judo. I had to train all these different disciplines, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, of course, and take the best out of that, you know, and kind of make my own system back then. So MMA, when I was started training and fighting, MMA was not a term yet. It didn't exist. We had free fight, vale tudo, mixed fight, and no holds barred, you know. So that's kind of fun.
So when they talk about MMA in Holland, is Remco like the guy people would say it started with, or?
You can argue he was one of the first, but Gerard Gordeau was in UFC #1. He was one edition before him. He was more striking oriented. But before that, we also had Chris Dolman, and Chris Dolman is a guy who is also very skilled in sambo wrestling, judo, but also he has some striking skills, and he started the whole rings. He started with rings, cooperating with rings, and a lot of the Dutch fighters went to Japan already and fight in a system called rings, where you could punch with open hands and on the ground, no strikes. And then, of course, you had Bas Rutten, Pancrase, you know, he was there before Remco, and of course, he was the UFC world champion. So he's one of the biggest influences as well, but he moved to America pretty quick So yeah, I mean, like those guys were in the forefront. Remco was definitely one of the pioneers, but we could argue that there were other people before him, you know, already training all-round fighting back then.
So what do you think the difference is between like the Dutch style kickboxing and what you see in Thailand?
So with Dutch kickboxing, what we do is we have longer combinations at first. So there's a lot more boxing, while in Muay Thai it's usually like one strike, one kick, and then they follow up quickly though. But it's like usually it's like pay, one kick, one strike, and it's just a different style. The stance is also a little bit different. Thai are usually a little bit more on their back foot. Dutch kickboxing usually more 50-50, and that's why you see a lot of more boxing, a lot of combinations. Let's say a combination of 3, 4, 5 followed with a low kick. You know, we're very heavy on low kicks or knee or a high kick. But yeah, that's I would say the longer combinations and more boxing is what Dutch kickboxing differs from Muay Thai or Thai boxing. Yeah.
So when did you have your very first fight?
So you mean MMA fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first MMA fight was in 1995, I think. In end of 1995 and 1996, I started doing a couple more fights. Sometimes was with open hands, sometimes it was with small gloves, sometimes it was with punching on the ground, sometimes not. So you just took any fight, you know, any fight you could have. You said, yeah, okay, let's go. And it's a big difference with the guys nowadays. Nowadays you say like, okay, I have a fight for you. You want to go? And it's like, okay, but who am I fighting? Where is it? What are the rules? How much I'm getting paid? You know. And back then they were like, okay, you want to fight? You were like, yeah. Oh, by the way, what's going to be when, where? Oh, I'm getting paid. Wow, nice. You know. So we didn't care back then. So yeah, 95, 96. That's when I really started to fight. Yeah.
But obviously Japan was like a big part of your career. When were you first approached to fight in Japan? Do you remember when that was?
Yeah, I was still training with Remco Pardoel, 1996, I think, or 7, 1997, 6 or 7, not sure. But yeah, they invited a team to fight a Dutch team against a Japanese team. And it was more of a challenge. It was a Valetudo Open, extreme challenge or something it was called. And yeah, they had like a Japanese team from Keishukai fighting a Dutch team, and it was like yeah, like that was the whole event. You know, I think it was like 6 guys fighting six Japanese guys fighting 6 Dutch guys, and I went there. I won my fight within 2.5 minutes by armbar from the guard. And then in 1997, they invited us back, and we did another one that was really nice, by the way. That was in Nagasaki, and we were greeted by the mayor of the town when we got there. And this was because of the 400 years trade history between Japan and Holland. So it was 1998, and then 1997 or 1998, and then my guys did pretty well. And they invited us back more and more often. We started with Shooto, and later, of course, went with Alistair. I was the coach of Alistair Overeem for 12 years. So with him, we went to Dream, Pride, K1, of course, and so many other organizations.
Let's kind of talk about like the first time you ever go to Krakow Hall. I mean, a lot of fans of people who follow MMA have probably never been there. Maybe if you could describe someone what Krakow Hall is like. I mean, I lived there for a number of years. You've been there many times. Maybe describe for someone who's never been there, how would you try to describe it?
Yeah, I mean, like it has that vibe. It has that. It's like all legends have fought there. It's not a big hall. It's like a small hall. It can fit like 2,000 people maybe at the most. But it has that. It's like that small locker rooms downstairs. You have to climb up small stairs, everything, and but it has that vibe. It's like, I don't know, it's so hard to describe. You know, you feel like everybody inside that room, the audience, they know what's happening. You know, in Holland you have those events and everybody's screaming, "Oh, knee him on his head" or whatever. You know, they just all grab him and just saying stupid stuff. But there, they really understand what's happening. You know, and they're making notes during the fights. It has that pure fighting atmosphere, but in a very respectful way. It's like, it's very hard to describe. It's you have to be there, you know. You have to be there to understand. So yeah, it's one of my favorite places to go in Japan and have my guys fighting. Yeah, I love to fight there as well. Even the air, everything is perfect. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Everything is perfect. But when you get there, especially in the locker rooms, it's like a small, scrappy place. But I like it. I love it.
Yeah, I notice the difference is the fans there really don't bother the fighters very much as they're walking around. Esther and Pride, they're real aggressive toward the fighters.
Yeah.
The fans are wanting them to sign everything. You don't really see that at Crockwell Hall.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, really different. But in for example, Saitama Super Arena with Alistair, back in the days of Pride, he couldn't walk there, and it really had to be like, we had to gather around him with 5 guys, and otherwise they would just crush him. You know, people were going crazy, screaming, crying, trying to hold on to you. It's crazy. Yeah, it's completely different. Very aggressive. Yeah.
So let's talk about when you started to become a trainer for Golden Glory and for all these guys. When did that start to happen?
I had a fight in 2000, the year 2000. I fought in the Ahoy, Rotterdam, a big stadium in Holland. I fought against Pele. Back then, the #1 fighter minus 80 kilograms worldwide. He was doing really good stuff in Brazil, Valetudo, Brazil, and he had like crazy fights. I fought him. At first, they said it's going to be a fight with 10 minutes. No decision, just submission or KO. And if so, you could win by submission or KO, or it would be a draw. So I fought him for 10 minutes. We didn't knock each other out. We didn't submit each other. So the announcer first said, "Okay, this fight is ended in a draw." Then his manager started complaining to the judges. He was the #1 guy, and I only had 5 fights. This was my 6th fight, you know. So he started complaining, and then they announced him as a winner anyways. But he was very sportive. But I don't know, somehow Team Golden Glory just started with Gilbert Yvel. It was only him back then. And they were looking around, finding a team with Dutch fighters. And after the fight, right away, they approached me. They wanted to have me in the management team. So I decided to join together with, it started with Gilbert. Then there was Semmy Schilt, Alistair Overeem, Valentijn Overeem, Heath, me, and later Ilonka joined, Khalid Arab, a lot of us, Gökhan Saki, all Errol Zimmerman, all those guys later joined. But that's how it looked like the first couple of the first year. I think just 6 people, 6-7 people, and we started to train together. So I started training with Lucien Carbine. I started training with Cor Hammers. I started training with all these other guys. Of course, Alistair was already training with me then. Alistair and Valentijn were already training with me. Gilbert Yvel was already training with me. So they were training more MMA style with me, and I taught them that, and they taught me how to do striking, etc., etc. So it was a good, it was a good vibe back then, you know. And we were sparring a lot together, training a lot together, learning from each other. So it was really nice.
Yeah, and Alistair was definitely a different fighter back then. I mean, when you first started working with him, like, what did you feel his strengths were?
Alistair at first very much striking oriented, but he had that natural ability, natural athleticism, where he could escape from strange positions. He could get out of crazy places. He was very agile, and he just needed technique, you know. So we started to work a lot of his techniques. Wrestling, he's not the best wrestler out there, but he can take you down, you know? He knows how to do it. His striking is super dangerous. So he puts pressure with his striking. So you're paying attention to the striking, and then he will take you down. And on the ground, strong ground and pound, good base. I worked a lot on his base. In the beginning, he came to me and said, okay, I wanted to learn how to escape submissions. And I said, in order to understand how to escape from submissions, you need to understand how to apply submissions. So we started to work on a submission game, which resulted in him being the European champion of ADCC. So yeah, I mean, he did pretty well. He did pretty well, but it was different. So when he came to me and trained with me, he was only 17 years old. So I've been with him 12, 13 years, you know, till he was 30 years old. So yeah, I trained a lot with him, watched him grow, watched him do better and better, and yeah, we had a good run together.
And he's won his last few fights in the UFC, but he's kind of maybe reinvented his style a little bit. It seems like he's kind of getting on top a little and using the ground and pound more. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think so. Before, back in the days in Pride, he was more going for submissions, also some ground and pound, but now his base is good. Once he's on top, it's very hard to get underneath from him. He's very strong, very good base, long limbs. He keeps you there if he wants to. And his ground and pound definitely got harder and better. So yeah, that's what he's doing now. And it works good for him, you know. But I think his submission game is a little bit less now than before. But yeah.
But it's interesting when you have someone who's like a veteran fighter like that can kind of make those adjustments maybe as they're maybe not having as much success. Now he's kind of adjusted a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. Also, when I was training with him back in the days, he also had a couple of times that he had like a couple of losses. I think he had 4 losses at one point, you know, in Pride and I think in Heroes as well. And then he came back, you know, we started working on it and he's thinking about, okay, how can I get better? How can I overcome this? He'll never give up, you know. He was always training hard and he's always a problem-solving mentality. So, yeah, when there's something wrong, you got to fix it, you know, and that's what he does well.
So, you know, when did the Golden Glory Pride kind of hook up? When did you guys start doing that? Do you know, who was it that approached you to fight in Pride?
It started with Gilbert Yvel, and he was a big name in rings back then. And then Pride just started off. And of course, they needed big names, you know. And Gilbert Yvel really kicked it off. He was a big name. Didn't do too well. He won a couple fights, but he lost some. He lost some as well. Then Heath got in. Heath did pretty well in Pride. And then, yeah, the other guys came over. So I think we had Valentijn Overeem there. We had Alistair, of course. Alistair had, from Golden Glory, he had most fights in Pride. So, yeah.
So what did you think of the first time you go to a Pride event? Do you remember which one it was?
Honestly, I forgot which one it was. I've been to so many Pride events, but I can tell you those were the best events in the world. Like, I've been to so many events. I went to Sengoku, to Pride, to Heroes, to K1, to UFC, Bellator, Strikeforce, all the big events, but nothing can beat Pride, you know? Pride was like, when you got there, the moment you stepped into that arena, you already felt like the atmosphere. Then when it started, before the fight started, everything was still live. People were talking a little bit quietly, you know, as Japanese people usually do. And then when the lights went out, that's what they always did. Boom, completely lights out, dark in the room. And you heard that sound. You got goosebumps all over the place. And I was like, wow. And people were going crazy, were going nuts. And every time there was a different opening ceremony. Also, of course, one championship is trying to copy it. It can't get close. Like Pride was #1, and I've never seen it coming back. Also not with Dream. Maybe it was the same team behind it, but it was still different. Pride was, and every fight was a main event, right? So nowadays you see a lot of events, and they have 1, 2 good fights, maybe 3. But in Pride, every fight was a main event. So yeah, that was the best days. I hope they can ever come back, but I'm not sure. You know, it's special.
So maybe, do you have any memories that stick out from, some of your experiences with Pride or K1?
Yeah, I mean, like I've had a lot of good memories. One of my, first of all, at that time, of course, I was working very intensively with Alistair. When he beat Vito Belfort, that was a big one as well, And he put pressure striking. He hit him with a knee and caught him in a guillotine. And Vito Belfort at that time was never defeated by submission. And Alistair was the first one to do it, black belt. And of course, I was teaching him a lot about the ground fighting. So for me, it was also good to see, It was like, wow, man. He submitted him with a submission, which I taught him. His guillotine was working very well at the time. And then he caught the Igor Vovchanchin also with a guillotine. Big memory for me as well. It was a huge win. And also Igor Vovchanchin was like a big hero for many people, So that was a really nice one. When he won the K1, of course, also big, very big as an MMA fighter. Everybody was like, yeah, now this MMA guy is coming to kickboxing, and what is he thinking? And all of a sudden he became K1 champion, and he gave a big shout out to my best friend, my brother, who just passed away, and that was big for me as well, very emotional, So yeah, his name was Andy Akel. Was very very heavy, and he was also always training with Andy, and Andy just passed away, and he gave a big shout out after he won the K1, and that was very emotional and very beautiful, I have to say.
And let's talk about like your affiliation with Shooto, because I know that you kind of became the representative for Shooto in Holland, right?
Yeah.
So how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, I mean, like after the second time I came to Japan, so there was another guy. So with the first time I fought there, I won very quickly, 2.5 minutes armbar. Second time they invited me back. I parted ways with Remco Pardoel. I had my own team. All the guys came and trained with me, so they invited me and my guys to go there and fight. And one of my students, his name was Adriano de Souza, Brazilian guy, but he was born in Brazil, lived there for a couple of years, came to Holland, but he was very big in capoeira. He was a capoeira trainer, and he did crazy things in the fight, He was very athletic. He was just training with me for 6 months before, only capoeira. And they invited him. He did so well. He had his first MMA fight. He was 88 kilograms. And he fought, his first fight was after 3 months. He beat a guy of 100 kg, and that's like 220. And he was walking around at, let's say, 188 or something, 190 maybe. And he beat a guy of 220 easily. Or maybe he was even heavier. So he impressed a lot of people. They invited him to go to Japan as well. He fought there against Akira Shoji. I don't know if you remember him. Mm-hmm. Big name back then as well for all the top guys. And my guy fought Akira Shoji in that event in a draw. It was in Nagasaki. But he was just training 6 months. And Akira Shoji was already a big name, So everybody was like, wow, who's this guy? So Shooto came up to me. I met Sakamoto-san already in Holland because he came here for a seminar. I met him at Remco's gym. He contacted me and he asked me if I could go to Shooto. I wanted to fight in Shooto with that Brazilian guy, Adriano de Souza. So I came there. He fought there. He lost to what's his name again? Gono. Gono. Yes. He fought against Gono at least, and he lost, but he did a really good fight. And they liked his fight. They invited us back again, and now it was another student of mine and myself. We fought there, and yeah, that's how it started off. And Shooto was just looking to expand. They asked me if I wanted to do Shooto and started Shooto in Holland. I started with a small event which I organized, which I had my guys fighting, where I was the referee myself because nobody else knew the rules, so I had to do the referee. So that was fun. And yeah, later start building up. We had the events in Holland, in Scandinavia, and in Finland, Sweden, Denmark. Norway, not, but we had events in Germany, Belgium, France, Spain, Italy, Baltic states. We had a lot of events in Europe. So eventually they appointed me to be the representative for Shooto in Europe. Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask about, when Golden Glory, like, it broke up, right?
Yeah.
So when did that happen?
So it we had Golden Glory, which was the management organization, and we had Glory. That's the kickboxing organization, as people know it now. But that's what I started together with Ron, and Ron was also one of the managers in Golden Glory. So Ron and I, we started Glory as a fighting promotion, and we started small in Holland, small events, 500 people, 1,000 people. Then we did a huge VIP only event where we sold like 186 tables with 6 people, and very exclusive. We had people fighting. We had Alistair fighting there, Semmy Schilt fighting there, Gökhan Saki, all the top guys. Then what actually happened is, it was almost around the same time. We did a couple years Glory that started in 2006, 2012. Pierre Anderan came and he wanted to buy, at first he wanted to buy K1, but they screwed him out of the deal. So he said, okay, I want to go and find I want to set up my own organization. Forget about K1. I'm going to get all the K1 fighters and I'm going to build my own promotion. So he came to us, he bought our company in 2012. And at the same time, Alistair got into some trouble with the Golden Glory management. So when Alistair and the Golden Glory management got into some difference of meaning, difference of opinions, they parted ways eventually. There was a lawsuit. I stayed on the Golden Glory / Glory side because I was very much involved in Glory, of course, and we're about to sell the company to Pierre Anderan. Some of the fighters were influenced by Alistair, and they also left Golden Glory. Later, when the Glory deal was done, the promotion Glory deal was done, they said, okay, it's too confusing. We have Glory and we have Golden Glory as a management, but we want to buy not only Glory as the fighting promotion, but we also want to buy the management team. So that's what happened. They made an overall deal where they purchased both Glory and Golden Glory, and then I think the new owners of Glory, they just wanted to get rid of the management organization, so the Golden Glory just kind of faded out. Yeah.
But you're so deep in fighting at that time. How hard was it to kind of not be as deep and constantly, training guys, going to Japan? How hard was it to step back from that?
Yeah, it was difficult at first, but also because of this whole thing. I mean, I was working very, very hard for Glory back then. 2006, I founded it with Ron. We sold it 2012. I stayed 2 years as a consultant, so to 2014, and then I was like, okay, it's too much for me now, I had a different way of thinking about how to run the company. The new owners had their own ideas, and it didn't really match. So I said, okay, I'm gonna pull out now. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna do my own thing. The fighting part with all the fighters, of course, when Alistair left, CR Bahadizada, he's also an MMA fighter. I made him a 3-time world champion in Shooto. I made a deal with the UFC for him. He got into the UFC, and then he decided to leave Golden Glory as well. So that was also kind of disappointing to me. Alistair, been together with him for 13 years. He left Golden Glory, and he said, okay, that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the management. But still, which side are you on? But at that time, I didn't like without going into too much details, I decided to stay with Glory and Golden Glory. So he left. Was also a big disappointment for me. Dion Staring, another fighter who I made a European champion and guided into a lot of good fights and good wins. He also decided to leave. So I was like a little bit fed up with fighting as well. I'm like, okay, I'm dedicating like 12, 13, 14, 15 years of my life to making those guys better and perform well and making them to become a world champion. Then when they start making real money in the UFC, all of a sudden they have their own way and said, okay, thank you for everything, goodbye, and I'm leaving. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't know if I want to do this anymore because money comes and goes, you know, I don't care about money at all. But time, you will never get it back. So I'd rather spend time with my family and people I love and treasure than to be in the gym all the time, you know, and then after 12, 13 years to say, okay, thank you, goodbye, and have a nice life, you know. And I was like, okay, do I want to do that again, you know, with some new fighters? So I decided, okay, I'm going to go easy a little bit on that, and I want to do different things now. So I still have fighters. I'm still training people. I had Marcin Prachnio just fighting in the UFC. So he's still there, very loyal guy, very good guy, just very unfortunate. In the one championship, when he was still in one championship, was 13-2, 11 wins in the first round. He came to the UFC, lost 3 fights in a row. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but I'm still with those guys. I have one lady fighting in Bellator, and yeah, people still training with me, but I'm not very much heavy into it anymore. It's not that I'm dedicating my life to that, you know, as I did before.
But is there any, I mean, for me, like not living in Japan anymore, is there any draw like, man, I miss that environment, or I miss the times of pride, or there's something that pulls you back a little bit?
Yeah, I missed it a lot. But especially Japan. I've been in Japan over 80 times, you know. I've been there. I was there. Sometimes I was there twice a month, you know. I love that place. It's in my heart. It's my second country. That's why I'm very happy. I'm still very much involved with Shooto. I had 2 guys fighting in Shooto recently before the pandemic started. There was Dwayne van Helvoort and Agis Sadari. They fought in Shooto. They both won. Dwayne was scheduled to fight for the World Championship, Shooto, Dutch guy as well. Yeah, then the pandemic happened, so he couldn't. So it's postponed now. But yeah, I'm still managing guys, so I did management of those guys. I was very happy to go back there and really miss it. But yeah, I mean, like that's how I do it now. I just do management of fighters who I really care about. I'm training fighters who I really care about, and I really want to do it, you know. And I'm now, those events taught me also how to give without expectation. So if I'm giving something now, I'm doing it without expectation. So I can't be disappointed anymore, you know. So if I do it with all my heart, and because I want to do it, and because I can do it, and yeah. But I'm kind of missing it sometimes. But I'm still in the game, you know. I'm not completely out. But back then, I was only MMA, only fighting, only promoting events and stuff. And now I'm doing different stuff. I just founded my own tech company. Together with somebody, we're making it really big. It's called Fitar. It's a smart mirror. I don't know if you know about Mirror in the US. It's kind of big, you know. It's a home fitness. We have a similar product that was 2 years ago. We started it as well. It has fitness exercises in it, more than 1,500. We have a shadow boxing game where you have a 3D pet trainer where you can do exercises with, interactive, of course. We have a boxing bag in it, so you can hit and punch the bag digitally in the mirror, you know. We have a 3D camera sensing your movement and tracking your movement. We have reaction games. So that's a company I'm now in. I'm really enjoying it. We're making big steps. It's getting more and more traction, and people start to know about it. And we're selling worldwide now. So we're doing a good job. But at the same time, it's still being me. It's still my passion. MMA is in my blood, and will always be. So we'll always be involved in one way or the other.
Now, this tech company you're using, do you mean is like on the computer, on the TV? I mean, that's how they would use it?
We have 3 different screens, mirrors. One is really big. Yeah, I don't know in inches, but it's like a 2.10 m by 95 centimeters, like huge. It's like as tall as a Semmy Schilt. Then you get an idea. Mm-hmm. There's one really big mirror. We usually place those in big hotels, for example. The Rich in Paris has one. In big gyms, like it looks like a big iPhone, but with a mirror. And there you can do all your exercises. We have a smaller one, which is like 180 by 65. It's usually placed in personal training gyms, physiotherapy centers, but can also be placed at home. And then we have a smaller version, which is like 60 centimeters by 45, which is which people usually use at home, and you can train at home doing all kinds of fitness exercises, shadow boxing games, cognitive reaction games. So yeah, that's what we're doing now. We have 3 different products, and for 3 different environments.
So people that purchase it, they have to purchase the mirror and all that.
Yeah, you purchase the mirror and you pay a monthly membership. Yeah. For all updates and stuff. We're going to do, before the end of the year, we have like a personal training feature in it, live classes, etc., etc. And it can be boxing, it can be fitness, it can be high hit training, it can be yoga, it can be anything, you know. And you can also have a one-on-one training with your personal trainer. You're at home, you're scared to go out because of the pandemic, for example, the virus. People like to stay at home, be safe, you know, work out at home. And then you have your own personal trainer. You can book your own personal trainer. I want to do Friday from 6 to 7. Let's see who's available. They select the trainer from our platform, and yeah, you book them. You pay it through the mirror, and you have your own personal trainer at home. Or you search for a specific personal trainer, and you see the time slots he's available, or he or she is available, and yeah, you can book a session.
So how much is that caught on in the U.S.? Like, what are your biggest markets right now?
We are not focusing on the US, we're focusing more on Europe and Southeast Asia, yeah, including China, by the way. Yeah, so that's where we're doing. We're very big in Holland, France also, but we're being approached by a lot of people from all over the world to become a distributor. So we're doing we have Indonesia, looking at Indonesia, Hong Kong, Australia, Brazil even. But our main focus actually is Europe. You know? Yeah.
Now, do you still have your own gym, right?
Yeah. I had a gym in Indonesia for a couple of years, 3 years. Just sold the gym, went back to Holland, personal reasons more, and then I started working on that new tech project called Fitar. But I had a gym in Indonesia as well. But now when I'm here in Holland, I have my own gym here, and there's also a couple of students of mine who teach under the same name. My name is the name of my gym is called Tatsujin Dojo, or the Gym of the Specialist. Specialist was my nickname back in the days, so we call it Tatsujin, and we have different branches in different cities.
Now let's talk a little bit when you fought in Hawaii. You know, because I was there at the time that you fought. Maybe talk about your memories of Super Brawl and TJ and in that experience.
TJ is the best guy. I love him, you know, and I really miss him. I haven't seen him for a long, long time. Sometimes we speak on social media, but I really love that guy. He treated me very well in Hawaii. Yeah, and Hawaii has also a place in my heart. I mean, like, it's, for me, I've been to a lot of places all over the world, but Hawaii is still the best place to go, you know. I mean, like, I love the people. I love it's not too hot, it's not too cold. I love the environment, the nature, the sea. I just love it. The whole vibe there, you know, the energy. I just love it, you know. I fought Egan Inouye there. Prior to that fight, I had been in Hawaii already. I'd been in Maui and trained there jiu-jitsu, and that was back in 1996, maybe 6 or 7. So that was already a long time before. And I really wanted to go back. When I got the invitation to fight in Hawaii, I was like, okay, let's go. But what happened, I got a detached retina maybe 4 weeks before the fight, 4 or 5 weeks before the fight. So I had to get an operation, right? Surgery, right? And then I asked the doctor, can I fight? You know, when I have a fight coming up, can I still fight? It's very close to the fight. Can I still do it? Because I really want to go there. I want to go to Hawaii, man. I mean, like, fighting Egan, first of all, fighting in the Blaisdell Arena in Hawaii is like huge, of course, back then. And he said, yeah, you'll be fine. You know, when you get there, it's okay. Just don't put in your, I'm wearing contact lenses. He said, just don't put in your contact lenses. Let your eye recover. And once you get there, you can just put in your contact lenses and you'll be fine. But when I arrived, I put in my contact lenses. my eye was still not. My eyes were not coordinating with each other. So one eye was looking that way, and the other one was looking that way. So when I fought, I had one eye closed. You know, I was fighting like this. I didn't try and show it to Egan, but I think he figured it out. And yeah, I got into. I think we were striking. We got to the ground. We stood up again, and then I was fighting like this with one eye closed, and I thought he was going for front kick. So I wanted to take away the front kick and hit him as hard as I could. But when I did this, I punched, but instead of him giving a front kick, he gave a high kick. So he hit me right in the neck, fell down. The referee, Suzuki-san, he knew about my eye condition. And back then you had like a 8 count in Shooto. So I went down, I got back up, and then he counted me out right away because he thought, I think, he never told me, we never discussed it, but I thought to myself, okay, he knew about my eye condition, he didn't want to become worse probably. And yeah, that was it. I mean, I lost the fight, it was fair, Egan won, he was the better man that day, but I just wanted to, I really wanted to go there, you know, even if my eye was not in the best condition, but I really want to go there. I have no regrets. I love being there, and they treated me very well. And yeah, too bad I couldn't give Egan a better fight. But yeah, it's life, huh?
And I saw some old pictures of you like training with the Jesus Lord guys too.
Yeah. Nice that you saw that. Yeah. Those guys are so nice as well. I love them. You know, cool guys.
Was that in Waipahu? Did you go to the high school gym, or where was that you trained with them?
Was that the North Shore? Could it be in the North Shore or somewhere? I don't know.
I think, well, they were training at Waipahu High School is what I remembered. Were you training in the wrestling room with them, or?
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. The wrestling room, I think.
Yeah. And what'd you think of, training with them? I mean, because Ronald John, Ray Cooper, these guys are kind of legends in Hawaii. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they always been very, very nice to me. We knew each other from Japan. I think I was in Ronald's corner one day even. I was there. I had one of my guys fighting. He was there with his trainer, and he said, okay, if you wanted to, I think I was in his corner. Yeah, maybe I supported him, just bringing the water or whatever, just helping them out. Really nice guy. They invited me to come and train with them, even before the fight, after the fight. They were so nice, and yeah, they're very skilled as well. Good strikers, also good wrestling, and yeah, it was very nice vibe back then. So yeah, just learning from each other, and good people. Good people. I love them.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about, because you were so involved with Japan, to see it the way it is now. What do you think about that? Because it's like, for some reason, the sport isn't as popular as it was before, and it can't seem to catch on again the way it was. With your experience there, do you have any? I mean, why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's very hard to tell, and of course, everybody's talking about the Yakuza involvement and Pride when it stopped. I don't know. The vibe was different. They're trying to come back with Dream, but Sengoku tried it as well. I have no idea. And now, yeah, nothing much is really happening. I don't know. I honestly, I have no answer to your question. I wish I knew, and but I don't know. I actually I was helping back then when we just sold Glory. We did a co-promotion with Glory and Dream, and I was very much involved in the Dream promotion. I wanted to. I did the matchmaking there as well, together with Kato. I don't know. It was a nice event. It was a good event, but the vibe was still different. I don't know what it is. Pride had something special, something magic, and magic is gone now. And I don't know how to get it back. If I wish I knew, but I don't know. It's very hard to tell. And UFC is very dominant now. Maybe that's it. That also in Japan, people love watching UFC. UFC is the #1 thing. Everybody's training to become a UFC fighter, and that's the whole game now. I think UFC is too dominant. They don't have their own local promotion anymore who's doing really good, who can get all the top guys. Because back then, Pride was the #1. Pride was way bigger than UFC. I mean, like, the promotion was bigger. There were more people. The fighters were better. Everything was better there, you know. Everything was better than the UFC. But the UFC did really good. They bought them and let them die, and then they pushed their own brand, which made perfect sense, like business way, you know, business wise. But yeah, too bad. I don't know. I don't think it can ever come back again. It will be very difficult.
I wanted to ask you about Israel Adesanya because you know you come from Holland, which is kind of like known for the striking and everything.
Yeah.
And now you got this guy Israel Adesanya who's fought many times before he got into MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've seen him plenty of times. What do you think about him as far as his skills and everything?
I don't like it. I don't like how he's behaving, but I like his skills. He's very skilled. He's very. He brings something new to the table. He's very. You know, what I can see is that he's very talented, and talent is something you can really describe and measure. In Holland, I'm working together with Dr. Erik Matser. He was a former boxer, went to the World Championships. And when he came back, he got a scholarship to study in America, the Cornell University, to do a study on how the brain reacts when you get punches to the head. You know, what's going to happen with the brain after so many punches in boxing or whatever. So he did a lot of testing with the top boxers in New York at the time. And then what he found out is that some of the boxers, for example, they never had a proper education, but they had a very high IQ. And there were some other things. And he started to look into it more and more. He is a neuropsychologist, so he's looking at the function of the brain and the behavior of people. And what he found out is that world-class people or talented people can process information very fast, faster than other people. That's what you can see in soccer as well. Even if you see Messi or Ronaldo, when they play, or you can see Muhammad Ali, or you can see Michael Jordan, something is different. And you and I, we can train as hard as Michael Jordan, and we can train the same amount of hours. We can do everything the same, but Michael Jordan will always be better. And that has to do with the speed of information processing. That's regulated in the prefrontal cortex, which is right behind the eyes. And that's what you can see with Adesanya as well. His speed of information processing is very fast. Besides that, he can calculate very fast. So his brain is able to make very quick calculations, because when somebody's making a punch, he already knows, okay, in this amount of time the punch will be there, so I have to get out of the way, for example. You know, that's the second thing. And behavior-wise, also from the test from Erik Matser, he said like talented people or world-class people, they can think out of the box. That's what Adesanya can do as well. They are very analytic. They don't care about chit-chat. They just go straight to the point. You know, they're very much dominant. You know, they want to have control over themselves and over their environment, and that's what he has. So he has that whole package, and he has a proper trainer. So yeah, all that put together, because you can have that talent, you have it or you don't have it. Of course, you can train it, but you also have to have that certain amount of level from yourself. So then, of course, you need to have that training mentality as well. Your behavior should be like, we always call that a German mentality. Don't stop, don't complain, just keep going till the end, you know? And that's what he has as well, you know, just keep going. And yeah, I mean, like, that altogether makes him like a world-class fighter, just as John Jones is, for example, you know, or Muhammad Ali is, or Michael Jordan is, you know, like he's a world-class athlete. So I'm yeah, what can I say? But I don't like his behavior, you know, that's a personal thing, but I understand that. Maybe it's to attract audience. It's a way to get people to watch him. Maybe some people want to see him lose, some people want to see him win. But yeah, that's how it goes, right? So probably that's his reason.
But with your experience, like behind Glory, and you know, so much of your kickboxing experience, you know, stand-up experience, like, why are certain fighters coming out of areas like New Zealand? Like you had fighters coming out of Holland. Now, is there a lot of Muay Thai involvement in New Zealand? Or I don't know a lot about that area necessarily, but maybe you do.
Yeah, I think in New Zealand and I think Australia as well, they have a lot of Muay Thai and kickboxing, and Holland as well. And Yeah, in Holland, the reason why so many Dutch fighters was very successful is because we had so much competition. It's a very small country, and if you want, every weekend you can fight. You know, like in like a half an hour distance driving. You know, so we had a lot of competition and people fighting at the top level. If you could say, for example, Gökhan Saki, he had so many fights. Tyron Spong. They start in the youth, have a lot of fights. They go to the N class, we call it, this new class. Then we have C class, B class, A class, and then you have to have a couple of fights before, because there's so many A class fighters in Holland. You fight, and then you get to the top, you know, top 10, and then you have already maybe 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 fights under your belt, you know. And that's why the level in Holland is so high, I think, in kickboxing. And I believe I don't know enough about Australia and New Zealand, but I heard there's a lot of kickboxing as well and a lot of competition.
So, I mean, he has a huge advantage because I know he's kind of like you're talking about, where he had a ton of kickboxing fights before he ever took up MMA.
Yeah, and that's a big advantage. Not only because his striking should be good by then, but his experience, the whole fighting. You know, I remember that when I was fighting, I could have days like this or like this, and it was very, very much difference. And the more I fought, the more it got flat. You know, it's like you know what's happening, you know what's coming, you know how to distribute your energy during the fight. You learn a lot. You know, you learn how to deal with the tension, with losses, with staying focused in the fight. There's a lot of advantage you gain by fighting a lot.
Okay, well, as we're kind of winding down the interview, I wanted to ask if there's kind of anything that you wanted to leave people that might listen to this, you know, maybe something you wanted to leave it with, or if they wanted to follow you, anything like that.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok. I'm everywhere, you know, LinkedIn. And yeah, I just wanted to say, everybody, you know, I think sports is good, especially now during the pandemic. You can do it. I'm not sure. Some countries you can already train together. In Holland, recently, 2 weeks ago, before 2 weeks ago, we could still do MMA training, kickboxing, and everything. Now it's kind of a partial lockdown, so we can't have physical contact. But still, now tonight, for example, I do an MMA strength and conditioning class where we have stations at 1.5 meter distance. We do kind of MMA movements. We have boxing bag classes. So if the gym is already closed in where you live, go and practice at home. I think it's very important that you keep staying active. The pandemic can be very depressing, but I think you should always stay positive and find the best way to get through this. Exercising is definitely a good thing to do and a good advice to do. You can do this with our Fit or Smart Mirror, of course, at home, you know. But anyways, whatever your possibilities are, just if you want to do running outside or just walking outside, it's very important to stay active, stay positive, and stay focused. You know, I mean, like that's what I say to the people: stay healthy, be good, and stay positive. We'll get through this.
All right. Well, Martin, I appreciate you again taking time to do this, and maybe hopefully I can catch up with you again sometime down the road.
Yes, hopefully soon, man. You're based in the U.S. now?
Yeah, I live in Oklahoma. That's where I grew up, you know, but I was in the military and I was in Hawaii and Japan. And then I just stayed in Hawaii after I got out of the military for a long time, many years.
Yeah, I can imagine. Where did you stay, in Honolulu as well?
Yeah, I stayed in Honolulu. I went to college there and stuff. Yeah.
It's the best. I can't wait to go back there. I really want. So when this is all over and I have a little bit of time on my side, I will definitely go back to Hawaii. I want to stay there for a month or so, you know, if it's possible. I just love it out there, really.
Well, I know you knew Eric Kiahi, right? You know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, and I trained with him some. TJ opened a gym and he was coaching there. You know, I know he had done some work with Alistair. So
awesome. Yeah, Eric is a good guy. Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while, but he's a really good guy. He's a good trainer as well. And but I think TJ is not in Hawaii anymore, right? I think he's
No, he's still there. What he does is he's a stunt man. You know, that's what he obviously got out of fight promotion, and he's been working on like Hawaii 5-0 Magnum PI. I think Hawaii Five-0 got canceled recently, but Magnum PI is still going.
Nice.
So he's falling off of stuff and, getting injured doing that, I guess. I know he had hurt his neck or something because they did a stunt where they pulled him off a motorcycle, but I guess it didn't happen the way it was planned, like they had the wire and it pulled him off, going full speed or whatever, pretty fast on the motorcycle, but the way he landed it, like totally broke some stuff in his neck. But I mean, he's fine now, but if you watch him on like Instagram, he shows videos of him falling off of stuff. And
Okay,
so that's kind of what he does now.
I'm going to find him on Instagram right now. This is the best. No, man, but yeah, it was good stories. I wish we could meet soon again. Hopefully in Japan or Hawaii or anywhere else in the US. I was there last time after the UFC in Vegas. I went to LA for a week, a couple of days, like let's say I think 5-6 days. I just love it there, man. LA also. I have a lot of friends, family. I just love it. I can't wait to go back there. My plan is to go to when it's all over, go to LA, stay there for a week, and then go to Hawaii. And also want to go back to Indonesia. I have a lot of friends there as well. So I have a lot of things to do when it's all over.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be over soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for your interview, and hope to see you soon again.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you, and take care.
Okay, you too, Todd.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.